Good morning. Today we are doing lesson 3.5, which is writing ratios and proportions. So our key concept for today is a ratio. It says a ratio uses division to compare two quantities or two amounts. You can write the ratio of two quantities, for example, A and B, whatever those two numbers might be, where B is not equal to 0, meaning if B was on the bottom, we cannot divide by 0. So as long as those numbers aren't 0, we are good. And we can write those three ratios in three ways. The first way is to just put the word 2 between them, a ratio of A to B. For example, the ratio of apples to bananas in the basket. Or we can write that same information with a colon with the two dots between it. So A to B. And then last, as a fraction, A over B. All three of these represent the same piece of information, and each one is read the ratio of A to B. Ratios should be written in simplest form. So simplest form meaning that if you can divide them by the same number and make it smaller, you should do that. For example, if we have the fraction 5 to 10, we could write it one of these three ways, or all three ways. We could simplify that by dividing by 5 on the top and on the bottom. 5 divided by 5 would give us 1, and 10 divided by 5 would give us 2. So this would be in simplest form. Same thing if we had the fraction, for example, 6 over 9. We could simplify that by dividing both the top and the bottom by 3. You have to divide by the same number. You can't divide by like 2 and 3. It has to be the same number. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. So that would be in simplest form. Now there's another word here, proportion. We talked about ratios comparing two quantities or two amounts. A proportion is when we have a ratio set equal to another ratio. This is what we're going to get more into in lesson 3.6, but it's important to know the difference between the two. So if I'm just choosing to write a ratio as A over B, I could write it as like 5 over 10 equal to 1 over 2. This is a proportion, a fraction equal to another fraction, or a ratio equal to another ratio. What we will do tomorrow is one of these numbers will be missing, and we need to figure out what it is. But for today, let's just stick to writing ratios. First, it says write a ratio all three ways. So it gives us an example of volleyball. A volleyball team plays 14 home matches and 10 away matches. Find the ratio of home matches to away matches. And they even give you the word 2 right there. Reminder, that's one of the ways to write a ratio, is using the word 2. The other using the colon and as a fraction. So first, part A, write the ratio of home to away matches. Well, there were 14 home matches, 2, and then the number of away matches, there were 10. We can simplify that, 14 to 10. If we divide both of these numbers by 2, first I'm going to write it all three ways. 14 to 10, we could write it 14 to 10, or as a fraction, 14 over 10. I find it easiest to simplify in the fraction form, but you can simplify any form you would like. If I divide by 2, 14 divided by 2 is 7, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So this would be simplest form, so it would be 7 to 5, or 7 to 5. This would be the best answer that we could give. Then part B, write the ratio of home matches to all matches. So first there were 14 home matches. To the number of all matches total, well, we need to count that up. 14 plus the 10 away would give us a total of 24. So we could write that using the colon, 14 to 24, or as a fraction, 14 over 24. We can simplify though, so let's divide both of these. I know I can divide them both by 2 because they're even numbers. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 24 divided by 2 is 12. I can't simplify any further because 7 is a prime number. So I can write this as 7 to 12 or 7 to 12. That would be in simplest form. Next, we are solving proportions using cross multiplication. I said we're going to do some of this in 3.6. We're going to do some of this today as well. We will do the same thing in 3.6, but with a couple more numbers, a little bit more challenging. So make sure you know how to solve this today and follow the process, because we're going to continue the process tomorrow. So solve using cross multiplication or cross products. In order to figure out what W is, we are going to cross multiply. So we need to multiply these two numbers and set it equal to those two numbers multiplied. It does not matter which one you do first. So I'm going to multiply first, let's say, W times 7. Now if you write that as W times 7, that's fine, but W times 7, we can just put that together and make that 7W, because it's still multiplied. Then on our other cross we have 35 times 4. So I'm going to use my calculator and plug in 35 times 4, and I get 140. And over here I still have 7W. So if I solve this to get W by itself, the opposite of multiplying by 7 is divide by 7. So those eliminate or cancel. We have W equals, now 140 divided by 7, I know 14 divided by 7 is 2, and there's a 0, or I can just plug it in my calculator, and I should get 20. That's my answer to W. Let's do the same thing over here. We're cross multiplying. We're going to set one cross equal to the other cross. So first, B times 2.5 is the same as 2.5B. And on this side, 0.5 times 9. Well, I'm going to plug that in my calculator. 0.5 times 9 should give me 4.5. And over here we have 2.5B. All we have to do is get rid of that 2.5. So I'm going to divide by 2.5 because it is multiplied. Those eliminate. And I'm going to plug in 4.5 divided by 2.5 in my calculator. And I should get 1.8. I would like for you to try these two on your own and then click play to see if you got them right. So it doesn't matter which one I multiply first. I'm going to multiply this way. 2.1 times 8.8 on one side. Set it equal to the other cross, which is 7.7 times V, or just 7.7V. So I'm going to multiply 2.1 times 8.8. And I get 18.48, all equal to 7.7 W. Oops, not W, V. And then last, to get V by itself, the opposite of multiply is divide. So we're going to divide by 7.7. Those eliminate. And we have V equals a nice 2.4. Next, we're going to cross multiply. Same thing as we've been doing. 9 times 12 first. Set it equal to 2 times m, which is just 2m. Well, 9 times 12 should give me a nice 108 equal to 2m. To get m by itself, this is multiplied. We just need to do the opposite. Divide by 2. So we have 108 divided by 2 equals 54. Alright, next we have a couple problems, but they're not written as a proportion. We need to write the proportion and then solve it. So write the sentence as a proportion, then solve the proportion. It says 5 is to 7 as A is to 49. Now, it says 5 is to 7. This is the word 2 here. We write that as a fraction. 5 is to 7. Remember, there are 3 ways to write fractions using the word 2. But in order to write a proportion, we're going to write it as a fraction. The word as really means is equal to, and then we have a is to 49. A over 49. Always put it in the top and the bottom, just like we did when we wrote, for example, a is to 49 would be the same as a to 49, or a over 49. We always put the first number on the top. And then we just need to cross multiply. So 7 times a is just 7a. 5 times 49 on the other side, I'm going to plug that in my calculator. And I get 245 equal to 7a. And then to get a by itself, I'm just going to divide by 7. 245 divided by 7 gives me 35. Let's take a look at our next one. 4 is to 12, so I'm going to write that as a fraction. 4 is to 12. As means equal to, and then n is to 3, n over 3. And then cross multiply. So 12 times n is just 12n. Set it equal to the other cross, which is 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is just 12. So we have 12n equals 12. So to get n by itself, just divide by 12. N should equal 12 over 12, which is just 1. I would like for you to try these last two on your own, and then check to see if you got them right. First, y is to 20, so y over 20 is equal to, or as, 9 is to 5, 9 over 5. So cross multiplying, doesn't matter which one you do first. I'm going to do y times 5, or 5 times y. And then we have 20 times 9. Well, if we multiply 20 times 9, well, 2 times 9 is 18. With the 0 would give us 180. And then last, divide by 5 to get the y all by itself. 180 divided by 5. I don't know that one off the top of my head, so I'm going to plug it in my calculator. 180 divided by 5 gives us 36. And then same thing over here. 30 is to 21, so I'm going to write that as a fraction. As, or equal to, 40 over t. Let's cross multiply. Same thing, but just bigger numbers. 30 times t is 30t. And then we have 21 times 40 gives us 840. So if we just divide by 30 here to get t by itself, divided by 30, we get a nice number, which is 28. So we are done with our notes. What I would like you to do is take your completed notes and bring them up, show your teacher, and we will trade you for your homework, which is a 3.5 worksheet. It is only one side. All you're doing is writing and solving proportions.